Welcome back to our weekly live stream on Facebook that we are experimenting with to allow many of you, alumni, friends of the institution, to come and ask questions. Remember that you can do that by commenting on Facebook, and you can do that right in the live feed. You can also private message the Greenville University page, and we will get those questions answered as we go throughout the talk today. You also can help us out by liking and sharing the page so that more people can know what all we're up to at Greenville University, and maybe just how you can participate in many of the great events that are going on around campus and actually around the nation and even around the globe, and encourage you to participate in those things and get involved and ask questions. It is Good Friday. Great reminder to all of us that without the power of Christ, we would be nothing, and the institution would fail to carry out the mission of the church to go into all nations and sharing the love of Christ. And so we want to take that time to remember and just recognize how, we just all fall short of the glory of God, but yet are redeemed because of the act of Christ on the cross that we celebrate this week, and the resurrection, of course, on Sunday. And so happy Easter to everyone. And we welcome you to engage with us on this Good Friday as we talk about immersive experiential learning. That was actually the topic of last week's Facebook Live session, but as some of you may know, we had a few technical difficulties. As it turns out, Facebook was actually updating their live stream abilities, and we got caught up at just the wrong time, I guess you would say. But we will cover a lot of ground today. You won't miss out on any content. I'll cover some that we had from last week, and then what we were scheduled to talk about this week, and bring those things together. But I am sorry that you missed three amazing people who are diving into this concept of immersive experiential learning opportunities. So we actually have three executive directors that are focused on this initiative, and it goes into Nashville and Dallas as well. But we had Danara Moore, who was with us last week. And again, I'm sorry you didn't get to see that interview. I'll tell you a little bit about what she shared. But she's actually heading up the initiatives of the Experience Institute in Greenville. And then we had Warren Pettit, who has headed up a program in Nashville for us, and all surrounding the music industry in Nashville. And then Dan Nagley, who was great to introduce for the first time, and new to the Experience Institute's project, but he is actually working in Dallas on a holistic healthcare opportunity that we had. And so we had all sorts of board members from across the nation gathered last week. And so we were actually live streaming from Chicago area, where the CMC was on tour. So their students were putting on an amazing showcase of musical talent that they have there, complete with a video wall and all of the audio engineering and technology and promotion that was needed for a live concert. And that was an awesome opportunity to just share in with those students. I think this is the 20th year of the CMC, so it was great to be celebrating that as well with Warren and his crew. And there's just amazing people on that board that are engaged, agents of well-known pop stars as well as Christian artists, all across the board, executives of Sony, and just so many people who are pouring into that initiative. And then we got to meet for the first time with our Dallas board, who has all sorts of medical collaborative efforts going on with those board members, including the University of Illinois and some of their executive team that's been engaged through our COVID testing programs. We had a chief medical officer of Faith Presbyterian Hospice, who we're partnering with in this Dallas initiative, and not just in hospice, but senior living. And we really believe that this new initiative will give students the opportunity from science backgrounds to social work and even nonprofit and chaplaincy kind of work to get hands-on experience in one of the largest hospice facilities and senior living organizations in Dallas. And so that's going to be a great opportunity for students as well. We really want all of our students, whether they're here on Greenville's campus or at one of these satellite locations in Nashville or Dallas, to graduate with experience and equipped for what they want to do and where they see the Lord calling them in their vocation. We want them to be faith-driven problem solvers, connected to people in their chosen field, so that they almost have a calling card that are like-minded individuals with character and service as a focus. We really think that that's what's going to add depth to the societies that they're in and that they engage in, because they will have that network of others who are shining brightly in their world and in their fields. And so we want our students to have that experience. And that's really the whole point of Immersive. Remember, going back a couple of weeks, we said there's 3 I's in the action plan that we're really fleshing out. And again, it's an action plan, so it's a work in progress. We're always trying to provide more opportunities that are innovative. So that's the first I. Interconnected, so in collaboration with others, and immersive, and that is immersive experiential learning. You might kind of wonder, what is immersive? What does the immersive part of that mean? Well, even if you think about the CMC experience that I described, you have the performance, which is obviously what most people see when you have artists up on stage singing and performing. Yes, that's a big part, but you have an interdisciplinary team that's going on to promote the concert, get the venues, run the tour bus operations, get the sound equipment. You have lots of tech people who are running video walls, who are making sure that the audio works. All of these things that the students are working together and finding out how their strengths work with others. And so you see, even those students who are performers, they're also the grips who are taking the equipment on and off the buses and helping all along the way. And that's a very important experience, because it's kind of sink or swim. It's immersive in that they're doing the work. They're learning by doing and getting immersed in that, and then reflecting on what went well, what could we have done better, how could we be more agile when challenges come, how could we adapt and work in a team and think a little bit more critically about how to do this. And so that's the kind of thing that we think is important, not just in music and the music industry, if you're going into that field, but like we said, starting with hospice. I mean, what could be more immersive and impactful than being part of the final stages of people's lives? I mean, in a way, and I think Dan said this best last week, so I apologize you didn't get to hear it, but he's like, really, how can you learn how to give care to the living if you haven't been there to give care to the dying, and think about what really matters at those moments, and how this is a whole life lived, sometimes too short, that it feels too short, and there's a lot of grief associated with the family members, a lot of things that are just difficult to deal with. And so it's one of the only times where Medicare insurance provides a holistic healthcare team of people who are thinking about the entire person, from a social, emotional, physical, even their own like business affairs and their family and the grief counseling, all of that coming together and being covered, because it does take that kind of interdisciplinary work, all these experts, to really do this well. And so we want to learn about that. We want our students to be immersed in that, because frankly, that is an opportunity that not many get. And in those fields is so important, because now you know how to work with the living even better if you go into other areas of medicine and healthcare and social work, et cetera. So that's really what we're trying to do, is increase our number of experience hopefully immersive experience-based learning opportunities. And we've actually started that process quite a few years back. We've obviously had a history of this, even with the Simple Room in Greenville and the way that that all started. But in 2016, we started to adapt our capstone projects with our juniors and seniors in their disciplines. We started to adapt and see what would it look like to deploy these student teams from all sorts of majors across campus, because oftentimes we were finding that internships just in one field, maybe an accounting internship or something like that, they would just get, again, just in one narrow field, and they would have an experience, and that was great. We want to continue to encourage internship experiences, but we started to think, what would it look like if we had business majors working alongside healthcare majors, working alongside social work, art, music, all sorts of things that would come together in those backgrounds, more artistic or creative students with more kind of business and operational students, or socially or ministerially minded students. And so in 2016, we had 8 students just as a trial run, 2 projects that we ran with 2 project partners. So one of the things about the Experience First curriculum that Danara Moore explained last week, again, sorry, I didn't get to see that, but basically what she was saying is, let's do something a little different, because we believe that a dynamic educational learning experience is just that. It needs to be an experience with all of these students involved. So we did that with 2 project partners. External partners. We paired them with a student team as well as a faculty member who helped guide that experience. And we started small. But now I'm here to tell you that in 2022, so this academic year, we've had 510 students engaged in a project capstone for Experience First. There were 89 projects completed this year, or just about to be complete here at the end of April, beginning of May, and 46 project partners from around the nation, but some right here in our own backyard in Greenville. So we always try to keep a local and more national balance of projects, but basically looking for project partners. And maybe some of you know who would be a great project partner of an external business or social enterprise or ministry, just something that you know of that would be great to have a dynamic leader pair with a project team and a faculty member and come up with a project scope that's tight so that we can make sure we can measure success. And that's part of this at the junior senior level. We want to see how successful are those students in a team environment at getting a project completed. And so we ask our project partners to define that, hopefully not something that's make or break to their organization, but something that, you know, if this was done well, or if it'd be great to have maybe a younger set of eyes look at this, what would those projects be that they could give us? And then in a semester long time frame, we could make some real progress on that with a team of students. We actually introduced in 2019 a freshman version of this. And so when students come in, we are working towards more just general service opportunities around town, and especially in the Bond County region. And we had 60 students involved, and we did 180 hours of service. But I'm here to tell you that this year, in this academic year already, we've had 300 students involved and 4,700 hours of service actually logged. So that's been amazing to see. And we think that that's going to set the right tone and mindset for students to look outside themselves, see the needs in the community, and find ways to meet those needs. And they were able to do that fairly autonomously in choosing the ways that they served. There's a question coming up: if I'm an alum and I want to be a project partner for Experience First, who do I contact? There's several people you could contact, and depending on maybe who you're connected to, but of course you can contact Danara Moore. Danara.moore@greenville.edu. She's always looking for project partners who are willing to not just define the scope and everything that it takes up front to make a successful project, but also recognize it as a learning opportunity for the students and really want to engage this next generation of leaders. So if that's you, contact her. You can also contact the alumni office. They're connected and are the ones that are oftentimes putting those alumni connections together for types of projects that we'd like to see, because we obviously each year have different numbers of students and different majors. And so we try to get projects from different areas of study that they might be interested in. So anytime, you can always contact Dwayne Neely or Tina Watterson and get engaged as an alum just generally. But obviously, if you're interested in the Experience First project partnership, they would also know how to direct you as well. So I want to shift gears just a little bit to a new thing we're doing with capital projects on College Avenue, along College Avenue towards the town square. I've mentioned this, but we're really trying to create, even physically, tangibly, this learn by doing kind of opportunity for our students, but also ways for local people, whether alum or not alum, just stakeholders, to engage our students, because we really believe that there's something just almost magical, just amazing about a small college in a small town. And there really aren't that many small colleges located so closely to their town square. Oftentimes they're kind of off the beaten path. Even if they're in a small town, they're kind of segregated. And that's not what those who originated Greenville University, and not long after, I mean, the historic nature of the town. And so there was something special of God, I think, just in this whole just literal integration, this interconnectedness of the town with Greenville University. And I think that this enterprising spirit that both the city of Greenville and Greenville University has, this mentality to serve, is because of the founders of the college and those that were engaged in the town in the late 1800s. I think that they saw something that we need to continue to embrace. And that is this idea of kind of a live, learn, work, play atmosphere, the sense of place that we can uniquely create around the town square and along College Avenue, and really kind of morph between the two, so it's not so obvious where one starts and one ends, because we're just all in it together. And so we've been talking to the city and city council specifically about this vision, and the town has deployed some resources around the town square to start some planning initiatives so that we come out very unified and what that might look like with the city of Greenville and all the representation that they have with the council members and others. And so we're from Greenville University's perspective, we're thinking about, okay, how this small town is almost like an incubator, a perfect incubator environment for entrepreneurship, ministry opportunities, social enterprise, kind of co-vocational ministry opportunities. Rural healthcare obviously is something very important in this area. You have criminal justice opportunities, science research, of course, music and arts that are thriving in both the college and in the town in various ways. And obviously lots of collaboration with our education providers all around in the K-12 system. That became evident during COVID as well, how interconnected we are in that space as well. And so how could we create kind of a physical representation from College Avenue through to 2nd Street, and what would that look like in collaboration with the city? And of course, we talked a little bit about the grant that the city has filed for the 2nd Street kind of pocket park and amphitheater concept. And we're very much behind that and want to support that in all the ways we can, looking for ways to support very tangibly on the 2nd Street projects. But I also want to talk about how that can work towards College Avenue and how we believe that what the college can do, even on its own campus, to provide more students and vibrancy to the town square is very important. And to that end, Breck Nelson is actually our Chief Innovation and Economic Development Officer. He sits on my cabinet, and he'd be very willing to talk to you about some of those plans and how that works. But he's really thinking through how can we use the university as an economic driver to the town square and to the community at large. So one of the ways that we've looked at this is through our residents' life. We want our students to engage the town square. We want our students to engage the region. And so we're actually physically locating a residence hall, a new residence hall for 246, 48 students on College and First Street approximately, that is immediately adjoining the college campus, but of course is in the direction of the town square, so that we can encourage our students, just even where they live can be an economic driver for the town square to help revitalize that area. And that's the kind of critical mass that you need in order to attract restaurants and retail. And we think that we can even locate some food and beverage type, maybe smoothies and that kind of thing, as well as books and other retail, even in the first floor of this resident space. And so we think we can, again, bring more vibrancy and help create kind of a rural renaissance, if you will, on the town square. To that end, the rural renaissance concept, I use that term, kind of my own term that I like to say, but really, this is something that even UNC did a report on several years back, even before the pandemic, that there are several things that just tell you whether a small town has this ability to recreate in obviously a very different environment. And we've seen that we have many of the factors that it takes in this area, and especially with a college, there's just a lot of ways that we can collaborate, and being just 45 minutes or miles outside of St. Louis, that helps. But obviously from just this computer, you can do so many things that maybe weren't possible before, but now with high-speed internet and just whatever location, even here in the Smart Center that you find, you can do global business right here from our small town, and obviously have all the benefits of living in a safe and comfortable environment. And so we think that there's just something that's ripe for all of us to grab a hold of, and something that's kind of bigger than us individually when we do it all together. The other thing that will be showcased in this space is our St. John's nursing partnership, which is in response to the huge demand for nurses. And so this will be the place where St. John's, HSHS, and Greenville University are partnering to provide this BSN degree that will allow for students to stay local and study nursing and go out into rural healthcare all along the I-70 corridor. HSHS has hospitals, and we believe that this program that we're offering in partnership with St. John's, it would actually be a St. John's BSN degree, but we'll be doing the pre-nursing courses that will be showcased on the first floor of this site that is right there, like I said, at College and First Street area, adjoining the college campus there right along College Avenue. So all these kinds of things, along with the student and public space that can be utilized, I think it'll bring a lot of energy to both the town, and of course, increase the number of experience that we're offering our students. So I just want to again ask you to like, comment, share on this Facebook live stream if you're able, and I'll just take a few minutes here of questions. Let me see if any have come in. How long has it been since GU has built a dorm? That is a great question. It has been a long time. And I believe that there were even some, Manoia would have been, and Hood Hall would have been the most recent, but it would have been a little while in the 90s. early 2000s would have been the latest time that we had built a dorm. But as you know, or some of you may know, one of the largest dorms that houses most of our female students is Burritt, and it has celebrated its 100-year anniversary, which is great. There's a great history there. Many of you alums, myself included, stayed in Burritt. My daughters stayed in Burritt. In fact, my exact same dorm room, which is a little interesting, but obviously lots has changed in a 100-year time frame, as well as even the late 90s, early 2000s. And there's even some dorm space that was meant to be short-term opportunities. And so it's past its useful life, such as Holtwick, as some of you, I actually stayed in that one as well. Some of you might know what that's like. And so we are needing some improvements to our dorm life. And as I've said before, I think on Straight Talk, one of the reasons we need that is because we're going to be maxed out in our capacity this coming year. Our projections for right around 800 students, it's going to max out our current capacity in dorms. We were 6% up this year when a lot of colleges were down. In fact, I've heard recently in Illinois, most colleges during the pandemic on average were 9% down in enrollment, and across the nation, it was about 5% down. And Greenville University has just been blessed beyond measure through the pandemic and being 6% up in total enrollment last fall, and then holding steady on our online offerings as well. So that doesn't include our online. But in addition, we actually are showing close to 25% up year over year in deposits coming into this fall, which is a pretty large influx, could have even take us over that 800 mark. So it is an interesting time to be in higher education. Obviously, some institutions not faring so well. We have a articulation with Lincoln College to some of their students needing a place to go after the announcement of their closure this week. And so really trying to do our best to offer the region, Central Southern Illinois region, just a great place to come and study for traditional students and online students alike. When does the nursing program start? That's a great question. I haven't answered that today. It actually starts this fall. So this coming fall semester in 2022 is the first cohort of the nursing program with St. John's School of Nursing. Now, actually, Greenville University offers the first 2 years of curriculum for pre-nursing, handle a lot of the liberal arts that's needed for the BSN degree, Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. And then we hand them to St. John's in 2024 for those 2 years of more extensive nursing experience that's taught by St. John's faculty. And so they'll actually cross Greenville University stage because they'll stay here the whole time, but they'll, in their degree, they will see that it's from St. John's School of Nursing, their BSN degree. Now they can also get a dual degree with Greenville University if they would like. And of course, that's an option, but that's providing an opportunity for students who are athletes. Oftentimes nursing students don't get to be athletes. So we do have about half of our incoming students, I believe 8 of them right now are athletes, and the other 7 are not necessarily athletes. They're just coming for nursing. That's the numbers to date, but those will increase as we really have just started to launch the admissions process in January after the St. John's approval with HLC, their accrediting body, to start this program. But it does start this fall, and we think it will grow exponentially by fall of 23. When do we break ground for the new residence hall? We are set to break ground in May with full construction sites going on in June. So we're doing a ceremonial groundbreaking on Friday, the 13th of May. Sounds a little creepy, but should be fine. We're actually doing that afternoon, sometime between noon and 2. We actually are doing the athletic groundbreaking, ceremonial groundbreaking out at the fields. As I think I've talked about, there's going to be a new building that houses concessions and kind of a Hall of Fame type idea, celebration kind of space where events can be hosted. Obviously bathrooms, which were desperately needed at the fields instead of porta potties, the grandstands, training space for athletes, and football locker rooms, other locker rooms in that field space. That launch will be right around noon or 1. And then the residence hall will be immediately following that on College Avenue with a ceremonial groundbreaking. And that's all on May 13th. I hope I have all my dates right. You might want to check the comments for dates and time and check the Greenville University webpage to make sure I'm correct. But that's the more ceremonial shovel groundbreaking ceremony with many of the partners that we've had along the way in these initiatives. And then construction will commence this summer. It will take a good 18 months with all the supply chain issues and things going on in construction. So actually those spaces won't be opened officially until fall of 23. So there will be obviously some in-between time where we'll be in construction for a little while. So we ask your patience with us in that regard. We have a great partner, an alum who has a construction company who's doing a lot of this work. And so his company, CMI, will be working with us. And we have a great local project manager, Nanya Mecca. She'll be, I'm sure, around as Breck introduces the projects. And he's actually going to do videos, 1-minute videos, really short clips to show progress on these construction projects so that you can watch those online as well and just see what all is happening in the construction process here in Greenville. So I'm not really seeing any more questions, and I just continue to tell you, if you do have questions, just continue to log on. 3:30 on Friday, we plan on doing this all the way through the first week of May, right up until commencement, which is the second weekend of May. And if you have any comments or questions, you can continue to ask those on the Greenville University page, and we'll try to get to those as we can over the next few weeks. And as many as we can handle in each session, we will try to do that each week at 3:30. Again, apologies for last week's inability to actually post the video online, but we'll see you again next week. And in the meantime, as Pastor Hawkins always charges the students, go change the world.